press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Okay, my dear students, let us continue from the last discussion. We have discussed Bernoulli's theorem and its applications. Few more applications based on the principle of Bernoulli's theorem. So, in all these examples, we suggest for a student that whenever you have application of Bernoulli's theorem, the sum of pressure energy per unit volume and the kinetic energy per unit volume should remain constant, taking H as a constant. Means the Venturi meter or the object to be under study should be considered at constant height. Means potential energy per unit volume is constant. In the formula, P1 plus rho GH1 of rho V1 square P2 rho GH2 plus of rho V2 square. This 2 gets cancelled because H1 is equal to H2 for a from the ground at a common height. Potential energy per unit volume taking constant, hence we have this formula. Again, what I said in the last class, 3 things. One is Magnus effect. Or what we call this as dynamic lift. And heart attack. All these based on, means these things can be understood. Again, one more aerofoil, uplift of an aircraft. All these can be understood with common principle, that is Bernoulli's theorem. Using this formula, in all these discussions, remember, whenever there is change in velocity of the fluid, change in the velocity of the fluid means it may increase or decrease. There is corresponding change in pressure. Suppose if the change in velocity is say increased, there is a corresponding decrease in pressure, vice versa. So you should have this in mind in order to understand the applications of Bernoulli's theorem. Say in dynamic lift, you could have observed that a spin bowler, when a spin or googly bowler bowls for a batsman, the ball is thrown into air. A spinning ball in air, what happens here is the spinning ball gets deviated once it hit the ground, or before hitting the ground it deviates. A soccer player, when a football player hits a football, there is a shift, change in the direction of the ball. All the audience may feel that the ball goes straight, but it gets deviated. That can be understood with the help of Bernoulli's theorem with the effect called Magnus effect or dynamic lift, which is caused because of this. To understand, my dear students, say a spinning ball, a ball moving with certain speed, What happens here is, you must remember two things here. Let us say ball is spinning in the right direction. And here velocity of the rotating ball is given by the formula r omega, where r is radius of the ball, omega is angular speed. In case of rotational linear speed, s is equal to velocity, that is velocity is equal to distance by time anta ಕರಿತೀವಪ್ಪ. ಹಂಗೆ ಆಂಗುಲರ್ ಸ್ಪೀಡಿಗೆ theta by t ಅಂತ ಕರೀಬೇಕು. That you will learn in detail, my dear students. Whenever you have some rotating objects, you have seen many things. Rotating wheel of a bicycle, rotating fan, electrons are revolving. All rotating objects are named with angular speed. So this is linear speed, r is radius, omega is angular speed. The ball is rotating with an angular speed omega. So by a spin bowler, when he bowls a ball, say it is spinning in air. Once the ball has left the hand of a bowler, it flows in a fluid, that is in air. What happens here is, say like this, the upper portion of the ball, this is what I am writing, is air. Invisible, my dear students. ಈ ಥರ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತವೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಡಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ, ball is moving forward, whereas air particles are moving backward. Air is moving in this direction. Ball is spinning in this direction, right side. Ball the speed, air the speed, opposite ಇರಬೇಕಂತೇನಿಲ್ಲ. They may move in the same direction, but understand the concept here. When a ball spins, the surface of the ball in contact with air. What happens at this point? They gets crowded. The air layer in contact with the ball. Suppose if the ball is very rough, you could have observed while watching the cricket match, a bowler just he rubbed the ball to his pant such that the ball gets rough. As soon as they take a ball and rub with the ground. They should not do like that. Unknowingly if they do, what happens, their intention is the ball should become rough. As soon as it becomes rough, when it is thrown into air particles in contact with the rough surface becomes crowded. More the roughness, more the air layers gets crowded. As a result of this, understand carefully, velocity, relative velocity of air with respect to air itself. Yen sir hangandre relative speed antandre, here air is in contact with ball means the air layers start moving with the speed of the ball. Ball ಏನು ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ, ಆ ಏರ್ ಲೇಯರ್ಸ್ನ ತನ್ನ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಅಂಟಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. The air layer gets attached with the ball such that when this is the case, means air is moving left side, ball is spinning right side ಅಂತಿದ್ದಾಗ, the relative velocity of air with respect to air, that becomes V plus R omega, where V is velocity of the air, R omega is velocity of the ball. Let us say velocity of the ball here. As a result, so this, my dear student, understand carefully. Air layer in contact with the ball start moving with some new velocity, that is relative velocity. Relative, one with respect to another. Air particles with respect to the moving ball. When they get crowded, what happens here is relative velocity of the air near to the ball And let us say there are some air layers here above the ball, this is also air. Relative velocity V plus r omega with respect to the air layers, just above this becomes more. When this velocity becomes more, there is a sudden drop in the pressure at the top surface. However, the air layers which are in contact with the lower do not have such a velocity. Here in this lower part, air layers are rarefied. Here it is, air layers are crowded. More air layers in contact with the upper surface. At the bottom, rarefied means air layers are spread. Means in the below the ball, velocity is less compared to the top surface. As a result, what happens? There is more change in pressure at the bottom. So, my dear students, with this, what you have to expect, I told in the beginning, this is the sequence. Because of change in the velocity, there is change in pressure. More pressure at the bottom lift the ball up, and it is known as dynamic lift. Sir, what we have to write at the exam if they ask for 1 mark? Because of change in the velocity of air, there is pressure difference. More pressure at the bottom lift the ball up is known as dynamic lift. Dear student, this should be always case? No, this may get reversed. Suppose if let us say ball is spinning in the same direction, let us say in the same direction, and air layers are in this fashion, means they are moving in the right side. Here I have reversed the direction. Sir, hinge irbeka? Illa. Here what happens here is, when the ball rotates with a speed r omega, air layers in contact with the ball will have a speed such that the air layers in contact with the ball will travel with some lesser speed here. Here direction of velocity and the direction of spin is the same. In this case, relative velocity of the air layer with respect to it becomes V minus r omega. Whereas at the bottom the speed becomes V plus r omega. What happens now? Here velocity increases, pressure decreases. Here what happens? In the upper part, velocity is decreased, pressure is increased. What will happen now? Because of greater pressure, the ball is lifted down. Again, it is known as dynamic lift. Don't feel that dynamic lift means ball should be thrown up. No. Depending on the relative velocity of air which is in contact with the ball will change the pressure. Greater the velocity, lesser the pressure, and vice versa. So with this, Magnus effect can be understood with the help of Bernoulli's theorem. Once again I repeat, because of change in the velocity of air in contact with the spinning ball, there is difference in pressure. A greater pressure at the bottom lift the ball up, and this is known as dynamic lift, or we call this as Magnus effect, which is caused due to Bernoulli's, can be explained on the basis of Bernoulli's theorem, caused because of a difference in pressure and velocity. Now, same concept, aerofoil, or we say uplift of aircraft. If you observe the wings of an aeroplane are in this fashion. Upper surface of the wings of an aeroplane are of this shape. We call that as a streamlined body. Before takeoff, aircraft or aeroplane move with some speed, greater speed. After achieving certain speed, there is a uplift of an aeroplane. What happens here is, when aeroplane or aircraft move with maximum speed, before takeoff, the air layers in contact with the upper part of the wing gets crowded. As a result, velocity of the air layer that is in contact with they move. All these air layers move with the same speed as the aircraft is moving. As this velocity increases, here don't confuse with the spinning of a ball. This air wing is not spinning, it is moving with some speed. The air layer which is in contact with the aerofoil, we call this as aerofoil, has greater velocity. As a result, there is a decrease in pressure, lower pressure at the top. However, the flat surface at the bottom, there is increase in pressure. Because of this difference in pressure is more at the bottom. Pressure is more at the bottom compared to top. Hence, body is lifted up. What we call this as dynamic lift. Understood. Now, another one, heart attack. Can be understood that usually we say low blood pressure. Many times because of low BP, the man lead to a death. BP tumba kammi agibittu satru anta kelide. Why this low BP happens? Again, this can be understood with the concept of, with the help of Bernoulli's theorem. Again, change in velocity, increase in velocity, reducing the pressure. Or increase in pressure, there is reduction in the velocity, vice versa. Taking into account, let us understand how a person gets a severe heart attack leading to death. There are blood carrying vessels. We call them as arteries. They are blood carrying vessels. Say, assume that a person is well and good, no disease at all. Heart is functioning well and good. No BP, he is very happy. Say, assume that this is an artery through which a blood easily flow with a normal pressure. What happens there with the age? Usually with the age, there is plaque, P-L-A-Q-U-E, means oil layer, jiddina padartha. Best example ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಗಟರ್ ಚರಂಡಿ ಕಟ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಹೊಲಸು ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಟ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಸಿಲ್ಟ್ ಅಂತಾರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಚ್ಚ ಗ್ರಾಮೀಣ ಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ. ಸಿಲ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ತೆಗೆದು ಹಾಕಿಬಿಡು, ನೀರು ಹಂಗೆ ಕೊಚ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ರ ಅನ್ನಂಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯಿತು ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕೆ. ಆ ಸಿಲ್ಟು ಗಟರ ಚರಂಡಿ ಕಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಆ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ವೇನ್ಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಆರ್ಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಏನಿದಾವಲ್ಲ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಚರಂಡಿ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ನಮ್ಮ ಚರಂಡಿ ಅಂತ ಬರ್ದಿರ್ತೀರ. ಥ್ರೂ ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ಟರೀಸ್ ಇಫ್ ದೆರ್ ಈಸ್ ಫ್ಲೋ ಆಫ್ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಈಸ್ ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟೆಡ್, flow of blood is constricted because of a plaque, because of oil content. Let us say there is some plaque here. This is making the problems. This we can call this as a plaque. ಜಿಡ್ಡಿನ ಪದಾರ್ಥ ಕುಂತ್ಕೊಂಡಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಕೊಲೆಸ್ಟ್ರಾಲ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಬ್ಯಾಡ್ ಕೊಲೆಸ್ಟ್ರಾಲ್ ಇಸ್ ದೇರ್, ಗುಡ್ ಕೊಲೆಸ್ಟ್ರಾಲ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ದೇರ್. Good cholesterol is needed for a human body for a living purpose. Good healthy person should have a good cholesterol. The bad cholesterol, because of this plaque, because of deposition of oil on the walls of the arteries, what happens here is there is a constriction in the flow of blood. Blood will not flow easily as earlier. What happens, my dear students, tell me? With this, again use equation of continuity. Using the equation of continuity, A into V is equal to constant. We use both equation of continuity and Bernoulli's theorem. What the equation of continuity says? A is area of cross section, V is velocity. Area of cross section is less, velocity is more. Here what happens here? In this content of this oil content, you will reduce the area of cross section. When area gets reduced, what happens now? Blood will flow with greater speed. Because of this deposition of oil onto the walls of the arteries, the velocity of the blood, area of these veins becomes less. Contract ಆಗಿಬಿಡ್ತು, ಏರಿಯಾ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಯಿತು. When area decreases, velocity should increase. When velocity increases, what the Bernoulli's theorem says? Pressure energy per volume plus kinetic energy per should remain constant. Once this content increases, what happens now? There is decrease in pressure. Normal blood pressure ಗಿಂತ ಏನಾಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ, ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗಿಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ, ಲೋ BP ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. Again, heart has to take care to pump the blood. More workload is given to heart to pump the blood. Normal pressure ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡಲ್ಲ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೆಷರ್ ಡೌನ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಡ್ತು. ಹಂಗೆ ಪ್ರೆಷರ್ ಡೌನ್ ಆಯಿತು, ಲೋ BP ಆಯಿತು, ಹಾರ್ಟಿಗೆ ವರ್ಕ್ ಬೀಳುತ್ತೆ. ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಪಂಪ್ ದಿ ಬ್ಲಡ್. Once it pump the blood, what happens? Again the velocity increases. Again once velocity increases, again there is sudden fall in the pressure. Again second low BP, ಎರಡನೇ ಸಲ low BP ಆಯಿತು. Again workload is given to heart to pump the blood again. What happens? When heart pump the blood, velocity again increases. Again there is a reduction in pressure. This leads to low BP, my dear students. A person leads to death. This is how Bernoulli's theorem helps in understanding these examples. I think, my dear students, I have given enough explanation for this. Is enough. Just recall. You have to take the definitions. Okay. Now let us get into another important topic. That is viscosity. Same fluid mechanics. We are in fluid mechanics. Dear students, you could have heard thick oils, castor oil, which is used in vehicles, two-wheelers. Usually in certain two-wheelers they use castor oil, which is thick. If you take a water, which is a fluid, which is thin, and if water is compared with say kerosene or a petrol, petrol is thin compared to water. Water is more thick than petrol. Coconut oil. During winter, that coconut oil gets solidified. We say that coconut oil during winter, it is more thick. But once that coconut oil gets heated, it becomes thin. Means there is one mechanical property of fluid, what we call as viscosity. So in these examples, whatever you feel thicker oil, thick, dappa oil, thick oils are more viscous than thin oils. So what happens here is, if I take a streamline flow of a fluid, we have studied streamline flow of fluid, velocity, say let us say there is a container or a pipe, you can say, through which a fluid flows, such that if you take a velocity of a fluid at all the points at a common area of cross section, velocity of all the layers which lie in this region should remain constant. If you observe the flow of fluid, the layer of fluid which is in contact with the surface of a container or a pipe is almost at rest. Layer of liquid which is in contact with the pipe is almost at rest. Means its velocity is imagined to be 0. Sir, means what? To understand this, let us take a river water. This is a ground, a top surface, and assume that this is the entire depth of the fluid. Assume that you have a river in front of you, and this entire river is not at rest, it flows from one point to another point. The layer which is at the topmost layer, you feel that the topmost layer is moving with a greater speed. Means velocity is maximum. Velocity of the topmost layer is maximum. If you come across the bottom, because of increase in depth, pressure is more. Pressure at a depth is equal to rho GH. As the depth increases, pressure also increases. Therefore, at the ground, you will say velocity at the bottom is almost at rest, which is 0. This is what I mean in the previous explanation. Assuming that the flow of fluid is a streamline flow. Streamline means one layer does not mix up with the other. Velocity of the fluid remain constant. For a given layer, this velocity should remain constant here. And this layer should not mix up with the adjacent layer. That is what a streamline flow, or it is also called as a laminar flow. So this is the topmost layer. Now we imagine this entire depth of the fluid is divided into layer. Next, Next, assuming what this arrow mark tells you that at this almost it is at rest, assuming that the fluid is at rest once it comes to the bottom. To understand, my dear students, we divided the entire fluid into different layers, and one layer does not overlap with the other. One layer does not overlap with the other. Say this is first layer, second layer, and say this is, they never intersect. Such a flow is called streamline flow fluid. For a streamline flow, incompressible, compressible, and what we said, it is ideal fluid, and this has some viscosity. Let us come to this, eta. This fluid has some its own property, mechanical property called coefficient of viscosity. Now suppose if you remove this river water and take the palm oil, edible oil, that will flow. It flows very slowly. So viscosity differ. For a given fluid, flow of fluid, this coefficient of viscosity is constant. This is one of the mechanical property that we have to study in this class, my dear students. Now what happens here is, say layer 1, layer 2, layer 3. Again I am requesting you that there is no gap. They're all, one is adjacent with other. ಒಂದ್ರ ಕೆಳಗೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಲೇಯರ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಒಂದು ಇನ್ನೊಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಹಿಂಗೆ ಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. They never mix up. They are adjacent to one another. Means first layer is on the second layer. Second layer is on the third layer. One is adjacent to another. ಹಿಂಗಿದೆಯಪ್ಪ, ಈ ಥರ ಇದೆ. ಈಗ ನೋಡಿ, ಈಗ ಮೂವ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ? If I start moving these two sponge, they are locked, my dear students. They are locked. They never move here. ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಈಗ ಮೂವ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ನನಗೀಗ. It is difficult because one is interlocked with the other. Means, just imagine, this is one layer. Adjacent to it, there is one more layer. 1 and 2 are in contact. If one layer wants to move forward, first layer ಇಂದ ನಾನೀಗ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಮೂವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಮೂವ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಲೇಯರ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ? ಡ್ರ್ಯಾಗ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಹಿಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಎಳೆಯುತ್ತೆ. There is some interlock between the adjacent layers, and that interlock will have a tendency to reduce the velocity of its adjacent layers. Andre vidyarthigale, now second layer is in contact with the first layer and third layer. Therefore, the motion of second layer is reduced by 2, 1 and 3. ಈಗ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಲೇಯರ್ ಮೂವ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಲೇಯರ್ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಲೇಯರ್ ವಾಪಸ್ ಎಳಿತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಲೇಯರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಲೇಯರ್, ದೇ ಡ್ರ್ಯಾಗ್ ದ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಲೇಯರ್ ಇನ್ ಆಪೋಸಿಟ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಲೇಯರ್ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ದ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಲೇಯರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಲೇಯರ್ ಡ್ರ್ಯಾಗಿಂಗ್. ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟುಡ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಆಫ್ ದ fluid, which tends to reduce the velocity of its adjacent layers, which always acts opposite to the direction of flow, is known as viscosity. The property by virtue of which, property of a fluid, by virtue of which it opposes the relative motion of its adjacent layers, is called viscosity, and that opposing force is called viscous force or dragging force. Now, with this knowledge, my dear students, here one important relation is that viscous force which always tends to reduce the relative velocity of its adjacent layers, what we call as viscous force or dragging force. It is also known as viscous force, and which is directly proportional to, suppose if I have larger surface area, what happens? More viscous force. You need more dragging force. In order to overcome the viscous force, you need to apply some extra work. So, that viscous force depends on the surface area in contact. Surface area in contact. And it is directly proportional to velocity gradient. So here any physical quantity which is measured with respect to distance. Here what happens, my dear students? With increase in distance means with increase, let us instead of h, let us call this as x, depth. Means if I go down, what happens? Depth of the fluid increases. As the depth of the fluid increases, what happens? Velocity decreases. Vice versa. Suppose if you move at the topper side, if you go, what happens? This width goes on decreasing, so that the velocity of the fluid at the topmost becomes more. Hence, this viscous force is directly proportional to surface area in contact and velocity gradient. Combining these two, this viscous force proportional to A into dV by dx with negative sign. Can you imagine what this negative sign says? Opposing force, dragging force, which will reduce the relative velocity of one layer with respect to another. Because of that, opposing force we take with a negative sign. Therefore, after removal of this Fv you can write, viscous force you can write is equal to, after removing this proportional sign, you will get one constant term, that is eta, what we call as coefficient of viscosity. Let us discuss in detail, that is A into dV by dx. Understand the formula correctly. What A represents? Surface area of the fluid in contact. What dV by dx represents? Velocity gradient. So with this, my dear students, can you define what this eta is? Eta, we call this as coefficient of viscosity. Now in this formula, taking magnitude, eta is equal to entire this to the denominator tarana, viscous force divided by A into dV by dx. Taking magnitude. So eta is equal to Fv divided by A into dV by dx. Now I can write is equal to viscous force when the area of surface in contact is 1 meter square and velocity gradient. ನೋಡಿ ತುಂಬ ಹುಷಾರಿರಬೇಕು. Velocity gradient is unit. Velocity is meter per second divided by distance is meter. Cancel. So 1 per second. ನೋಡಿ meter cancel ಆಯಿತು, per second ಉಳಿತು. So how to define coefficient of viscosity? It is the dragging force or viscous force. Okay, viscous force between the two adjacent layers of a unit area of cross section having unit velocity gradient. It is the viscous force or dragging force between the adjacent layers of unit area of cross section or unit surface area. Cross section anbardu, sorry my dear students, of 1 meter square surface area having unit velocity gradient. A. Once again, it is the dragging force between the adjacent layers of a fluid of 1 meter square area with unit velocity gradient. So now with this, again I ask you, what is the dimensional formula for coefficient of viscosity and the SI unit? So I think you have taken this one. Now here, the same thing, formula in this formula, Newton SI unit divided by area is meter square. Again this velocity gradient, as just said, meter per second per meter. Meter cancel, simplify, Newton second per meter square, or you can say Newton per meter square second. What Newton per meter second square represents? Newton per meter square, that is force by area, represents what? Pressure. What is the SI unit of pressure? Pascal. Therefore, the same unit can be written as pas. Pascal into second. Therefore, with this SI unit of coefficient of viscosity is Pascal into second, or Newton meter square, Newton per meter square into second. And one more, another SI unit is Poiseuille, Poiseulle, Poiseuille, Pi, they write Pi. Another SI unit of coefficient of viscosity is Poiseuille. Practical SI unit, many times practical SI unit of coefficient of viscosity, this is pronounced as eta, E-T-T-A, eta. Greek letter appa adu. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಲ್ಯಾಂಬ್ಡಾ ಅಂತ ಬರಿತೀವಿ, ಓಮ್ ಅಂತ ಬರಿತೀವಿ, ಏನೋ ಗ್ರೀಕ್ ಲೆಟರ್. ಹಾಗೆ ಈಟಾ, ಯು ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಎನ್ ಅನ್ನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸ್ಟೈಲಾಗಿ ಬರೀತಾರೆ, ಎನ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಎಳಿತಾರೆ. ಏನಂತ ಓದ್ಬೇಕು ಅದನ್ನು? ಈಟಾ ಅಂತ ಓದಬೇಕು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಂಬಾಲ್ ಅದು. ನಮ್ಮ ವಿಸ್ಕಾಸಿಟಿ ಚಾಪ್ಟರಲ್ಲಿ ಈಟಾ ಅಂತ ಬಂತು ಅಂದರೆ ಕೋಯಿಫಿಷಿಯಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ವಿಸ್ಕಾಸಿಟಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ನೋಡಿ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳೇ, SI ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ, ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಕೋಯಿಫಿಷಿಯಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ವಿಸ್ಕಾಸಿಟಿ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬರಬೇಕು. ಈಗ ಡೈಮೆನ್ಷನಲ್ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಬರೆಯೋದನ್ನು ಕಲಿಬೇಕು. ಡೈಮೆನ್ಷನಲ್ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಫಾರ್ ಕೋಯಿಫಿಷಿಯಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ವಿಸ್ಕಾಸಿಟಿ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದರೆ ಕೆಲವು ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಈ ಪಾಸ್ ಅಂತ ತೊಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ತುಂಬ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಆಫ್ ರಿಕಾಲಿಂಗ್ ದ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ನೋಡಿ ಬರೀಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ SI ಯೂನಿಟ್ ನೋಡಿ ಬರೀಬೋದು. ಕೋಯಿಫಿಷಿಯಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ವಿಸ್ಕಾಸಿಟಿಗೆ ಪಾಸ್ ನೆನಪು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಪಾಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಪ್ರೆಷರ್, ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಬೈ ಏರಿಯಾ ಇಂಟು ಸೆಕೆಂಡಿಗೆ ಟೈಮ್. ಪಾಸ್, pressure, that is Pascal, force by area. So therefore what I can write here is force m1 L1 T minus 2 divided by L square into T there. So dimensional formula ಫಾರ್ ಕೊಯಿಫಿಷಿಯಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ವಿಸ್ಕಾಸಿಟಿ ಕೇಳಿದರೆ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಆನ್ಸರು m ಪವರ್ 1 L ಪವರ್ -1 T ಪವರ್ -1. ನೋಡಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಹೀಗೆ ಹೇಳಿ, ಥಿಕ್ ಆಯಿಲ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಮೋರ್ ವಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಯಿಫಿಷಿಯಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ವಿಸ್ಕಾಸಿಟಿ ಇಸ್ ಮೋರ್. ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಎರಡು ಲೇಯರ್ ಅಂತ ಆಗಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿನಿ ನೋಡಿ. ಈಗ one layer has to move on the other. So this is, let us say this is first layer, second layer. The motion of second layer is opposed by first layer. ಈಗ 2 layer ಮೂವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಆರಾಮ್ ಮೂವ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಈಗ ನೋಡಿ, ಈಗ ಮೂವ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಬರಲ್ಲ, ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸರ್ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀರಿ ನೀವು, ಹೌದು ಇಲ್ಲ ಬಿಗಿಯಾಗಿದೆ. ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಇಂಟರ್ಲಾಕ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್, ವಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಫ್ರಿಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಫ್ರಿಕ್ಷನ್ ಈಸ್ ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ವಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್, ಆಪೋಸಿಂಗ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಇದು ಸಾಲಿಡ್ ಆಯ್ತಪ್ಪ, ಸಾಲಿಡ್ ಮತ್ತು ವಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಾರ್ದು, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಫ್ರಿಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು. ಫ್ರಿಕ್ಷನ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ವಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್. ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೇ ಸಾಲಿಡ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್, ಡೋಂಟ್ ಯೂಸ್ ವಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್. ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಯೂಸ್, ಬಟ್ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಅ ಫ್ರಿಕ್ಷನಲ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್, ಆಪೋಸಿಂಗ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದೆ? ಫ್ಲೂಯಿಡ್ ಬಂತಂದರೆ ವಿಸ್ಕಸ್, ವಿಸ್ಕಾಸಿಟಿ, ವಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ಟರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ನೆನಪಾಗಿ. ಓಕೆ, so SI unit is pass, Newton per meter square into second, or Poiseuille. It is denoted by letter PI. Dimensional formula is pass, force by area into time. You can use this also. ಇದನ್ನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಪ್ಪ ಡೈಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಬರೀಲಿಕ್ಕೆ. ಫೋರ್ಸ್ m1 L1 T - 2, area is L square, velocity L into T - 1 divided by distance. Velocity gradient anta idu ನೋಡಿ, this is velocity gradient. L cancels, simplify, m1 L - 1 T - 1. The same you will get by using that formula also. Again, one important point is for liquids with increase in temperature, coefficient of viscosity decreases. For 1 mark in the board paper you may get this, or in a competitive paper, what happens to viscosity of the fluid when temperature of the liquid is increased ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, with increase in temperature coefficient of viscosity of a liquid decreases. But for a gaseous media ulta, for gases with increase in temperature coefficient of viscosity also increases for gaseous media. This is experimentally proved and verified, my dear students. You have to memorize these two. So formula is viscous force is eta into A into dV by dx. Viscous force is minus eta A dV by dx. Therefore, coefficient of viscosity is minus viscous force divided by A into dV by dx, where A is surface area in contact, dV by dx is velocity gradient. Any physical quantity measured with respect to distance. Velocity gradient. Any physical quantity measured with respect to distance is called gradient. Pressure gradient, pressure with respect to distance. Temperature gradient, temperature with respect to distance. Now, there is one more statement, my dear students. Statement of Stokes law. After the experimental verification, Stokes is a scientist who gave one formula. After doing series of experiment and with mathematical equations, he studied one relation. Say, in a fluid, if a spherical drop of radius r, sphere, or you can say spherical object of radius r is dropped in a fluid, there is some dragging force, that is viscous force. The viscous force or a dragging force on a spherical object is given by the formula 6 pi eta r v. This itself we call this as a Stokes law or Stokes formula. What is Stokes law? A viscous force on a spherical object when dropped in a liquid of coefficient of viscosity eta, the viscous force is given by 6 pi eta r into v. Now this formula can be derived by using dimensional analysis, provided 6 pi is a constant, cannot be obtained by using dimensional analysis. This formula can be derived using dimensional analysis, taking 6 pi as a constant, and this constant cannot be derived. So here we and you just recall the formula that is given by Stokes law to understand the next concept, terminal velocity. This v is a terminal velocity which is proportional to square of the radius of the object. In order to understand this relation, this Stokes law is needed. When a spherical object of radius r is dropped in a fluid of coefficient of viscosity eta, this object will experience some dragging force, and that dragging force always opposes the motion of the object, and that dragging force or viscous force is given by the formula 6 pi eta r v, where eta is coefficient of viscosity of the fluid through which object is dropped, r is radius of the spherical object, and v is the terminal velocity. Let us understand what this terminal velocity is. Now my dear students, important small derivation is to prove terminal velocity of an object is proportional to square of the radius. All of you, I think you are taking along with me. I told don't watch like a movie, don't watch like a picture. What we write, what we say, you have to take it. I told in the beginning class. Now, important concept. Expression for terminal velocity. You can take that heading, expression for terminal velocity. In that, we have to prove that terminal velocity, that is v, is proportional to square of the radius of the spherical object. Okay, you have taken that. Take the diagram along with me. take a container filled with fluid, some liquid is there. And let us say rho L is density of the liquid, and a spherical object is dropped now into the liquid from certain height. This spherical object of radius r is dropped. When dropped, what happens now? It enters the fluid with some greater speed. The object, when dropped from certain height, enter the liquid with some greater speed. And if assuming that the density of the object, that is spherical object, is less than that of density of the liquid, means what happens now? It floats. What happens when suddenly dropped? It will come down and move up. For a moment, the object will move up and down, slowly up and down, up and down. Finally, say it comes to rest. It comes to rest when it is well inside the fluid. Assuming that when it is at rest inside the fluid. And obviously, you will say density of the object should be equal to density of the liquid. The object is well inside the fluid. Object is well inside the fluid when both densities are matching. The object will float. The object will float here. The object is well inside the fluid. We have studied in the class of Archimedes principle. Suppose if density of the object is greater, then the object definitely it will sink. It will completely sink. Now here, what the concern is, when the object suddenly dropped, it has some various forces acting on it. Can you name them? One is weight of the object, that is mg, which is acting downward because of gravity, and the viscous force, dragging force upward, and the upthrust. This is Fv, and one more upthrust, buoyant force. The weight is acting downward, my dear students. Weight is acting downward because of gravity. The object is, when it is falling down, it has upward viscous force. Now, at equilibrium, you must understand this. At equilibrium means when the object is well settled in the fluid. If, for example, balloon, when it is floated into an air, it flies off. It moves up. At certain height, it comes to rest. That is the situation. Suppose if this object is rising up, again weight is always acting downward, but the viscous force is downward if the object is moving up. Understood? Now, once the object is well settled, well inside, means at equilibrium, the net downward force, that is weight of the body which is acting downward, should balance the upward viscous force plus the upward buoyant force. Just understand these three arrow marks. And the object will attain the constant velocity that is called as a terminal velocity. At equilibrium, when the downward weight of the object is balanced, or is equal to the sum of viscous force and the buoyant force, the constant velocity is called terminal velocity. Now I have to derive that terminal velocity, my dear students. If you understood this, it's well and good. Again, density is equal to mass by volume, we have studied. Therefore, mass is equal to density into volume. Mass of the object, density of the object into volume of the object, because it is completely submerged, into G. M is equal to density into volume. Density into volume. Okay, fine. Viscous force, just we have written here. 6. I need a space here. mg at equilibrium downward weight of the body should balance viscous force and the buoyant force, or you say upthrust. Rho naught V naught into G, mass into G. Viscous force, just by Stokes law, viscous force is 6 pi eta RV. 6 pi eta RV. Coefficient of viscosity of the fluid, R is radius of the object, V is velocity, terminal velocity, and we know upthrust is always weight of liquid displaced. Upthrust is always equal to weight of the liquid that is displaced. We have studied weight of the liquid displaced, density of the liquid, volume of the submerged object into G. Remember this. V rho, volume of the submerged object, completely submerged here, completely submerged, into density of the liquid. What it gives now? Mass of the liquid displaced. Mass of the liquid displaced into G gives what? Weight of the liquid that is displaced, that is upthrust, buoyant force. After arranging this, get the answers, my dear students. V naught, carefully. V, volume of the object, spherical, 4 by 3 pi r cube, volume of the object into G equal to, keep as it is, 6 pi eta R as it is. Now into V plus. What I do here is, I just extract, because I need this, my dear students. 6 pi eta RV, ಇದಷ್ಟು ಈ ಕಡೆ ತೊಗೊಂಬರ್ತೀನಿ. ಇದು ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಸಾರಿ ಇದು ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇರಲಿ, ಇದು ಈ ಕಡೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಕೇರ್ಫುಲ್. ಇದು ಈ ಕಡೆ ಬಂದಾಗ ವಿ ನಾಟ್ ಕಾಮನ್, ರೋ ನಾಟ್ ಮೈನಸ್ ರೋಯಲ್, ರೋ ನಾಟ್ ಮೈನಸ್ ರೋಯಲ್ ಇಂಟು ಜಿ ಈ ಕಡೆ ತಂದಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಅರೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಇದು ವಿ ನಾಟ್ ವಾಲ್ಯೂಮ್, ಇದು ವೆಲಾಸಿಟಿ, ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಡಿ, ಬಿಗ್ ಲೆಟರ್. ಕೀಪ್ ಆಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್, ಲೆಫ್ಟ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಹಂಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ 6 pi eta RV, ವಾಲ್ಯೂಮ್ 4 by 3 pi r cube, ವಾಲ್ಯೂಮ್ ಇಂಟು, ಕೀಪ್ ಆಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್, ರೋ ನಾಟ್ ಮೈನಸ್ ರೋಯಲ್ ಇಂಟು ಜಿ. ರೋ ಕಣಪ್ಪ, ಮತ್ತಿದು ಪಿ ಅನ್ಬೇಡ, ರೋ ನಾಟ್ ಡೆನ್ಸಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ದ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್. ನಿಧಾನ ಕಾಪಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಪ್ಪ, ಇದು ಈಕ್ವಿಲಿಬ್ರಿಯಂ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರೆಯೋದು. You are obtaining the expression for terminal velocity proportional to r square. We have to prove this. So arranging this, my dear students, 1 r here, 1 r you can cancel here, r square is left. So therefore V is equal to, I just take this side, pi cancels, 4r cube, 4r cube divided by 3 into 6, 6 into 3 into eta r. Taking this, simple ಆಗಿ ಬರೀತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ, ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಅನ್ಬಾರ್ದು ಆಮೇಲೆ. ರೋ ನಾಟ್ ಮೈನಸ್ ರೋಯಲ್ ಇಂಟು ಜಿ, ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗಿ. 2 3s are 2 2s are, 1 r here cancels, so you get 2 divided by 3 3s are 9, 2 by 9 r square by eta into rho naught minus rho L into G. This is the final formula, my dear students. So now V proportional to R square. V represent terminal velocity proportional to R square. This proportional to R square. So very standard formula, terminal velocity V is equal to, you have to remember 2R square by 9 eta, 2R square by 9 eta into bracket rho naught minus rho L into G. This is needed for your competitive classes. I think, my dear students, you have understood the concepts is like that. So today class, don't neglect this. Okay, thank you, take care. Let us continue in the next class.